Hello everyone. I'm Dr. Lipsa Mishra, working as an assistant professor, Department of Civil Engineering, MITS. Welcome everyone. We'll start the lecture on water treatment. It's a continuation of water treatment slides before we studied. So today's content is filtration, disinfection, basically. And previous lecture we have discussed about the initial steps like screening, sedimentation, coagulation. So today we'll discuss about the filtration and disinfection process. What is filtration process basically? This is the second or third step, you can say. It's a conventional water treatment system, and which removes the particulate matter, and by forcing the water pass through a porous media. So basically these porous media are made up of, or you can say that those are the filter media, and this filtration system consists of these porous media or filter media like sand, gravel, charcoals, varying with various sizes of pores. So the diameter of this grain size is fine and is approximately zero point 0.1 mm. So the diameter less than 0.111 mm so would pass through the fine layer sand layer. So likewise this filtration process is carry on. So what are the types of filtration? Basically there are two types: slow sand filtration and rapid sand filtration. Here, slow sand filtration is a kind of biological process with consist of the layer of sand and soil, and where the top layer is establish the bacterial community, and the water will pass through it, and whatever the contaminants or the floating materials or whatever the filtering material will be there, those will be attached to it, that bacterial layer, and those layer of microbe is called smudge take layer, or in short it's called biofilm, and it requires cleaning every month, and whenever it will get thick after so many days, it requires cleaning process. So basically this slow filtration is not advisable to use as a filtration media, process. So because due to this biofilm, the flow rate may declines. So what we'll see what is the working principle of this slow sand filter. So basically the water will pass through the layer of sand placed above the base material, and thus the purification of this process has been aims to simultaneously improve the biological and chemical physical characteristics of water. And slow sand filtration have been used for many years. It is a conventional method basically, but it requires large area land to operate. So these are the major advantages. It requires large area, and the operation is very tedious, and the flow rate also very slow, that is zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.3 meter per hour. So you can see in this, this is the slow sand filtration schematic diagram. Basically these slow sand filters are used in the rural areas and small communities, and you can say they can be rectangular or in a cylindrical shape with 1 to 2 meter deep, and the filter bed consists of the gravel and sand and very fine sand. Likewise it was layered, and the top layer of the soil is attached to the bacteria or the biofilm, or it's called smudge stick. Okay, so this is the working principle of slow sand filter. Going forward, that is rapid sand filter. What is rapid sand filtration? It is a physical process that removes the suspended solids which may not be removed in the stage of sedimentation and sedimentation with coagulation. So to remove other floating materials or suspended particles in water, so rapid sand filtration, most of the water treatment plants are adopted this rapid sand filtration, and these are more common than the slow sand filter actually, because the rapid sand filter are very fairly high flow rate and requires very little space to operate and easy to operate also. So these rapid sand filters are often used in municipal drinking water facilities as a part of multi-stage treatment system. So not only this rapid sand filter giving advantage like high flow rate and little space to operate, also it removing large suspended particles, color, order, turbidity up to 80% of the pathogenic bacteria from the water, untreated water. So these rapid sand filters are having advantage over the slow sand filter, and having higher than efficiency than the slow sand filter, and cleaning is automatically done in this case in rapid sand filter by using the backwashing, which is not available in the slow sand filter. So here we can see the schematic diagram of rapid sand filter. Here you can see here also the gravel and sand layer are there according to the grain size, and the filter media of the sand with grain size 0.4 to 0.7 mm in size, and gravel, what are the gravel supported in the bottom of the layer, that is 30 to 40 meter deep, and under drain systems are there here, from where we can distribute the water properly, and also the backwashing process can be easily done. And the troughs are there to collect the backwash water, and or the drain outlet water are there, and the stored water after treatment water, the troughs are available. So here you can see in the figure there are 1 2 3 4 5 6 valves are there, and these valves are open and close according to the process when it's working. From inlet these valves are open, then after the treatment for backwashing purpose these valves will close and these two valves will open. Likewise this rapid sand filter will work, but one more only one disadvantage of this rapid sand filter, because it requires pre-treatment or the post-treatment to ensure the safe drinking water. So this pre-treatment usually the coagulation, and post-treatment is disinfection. Disinfection anyway, we in every treatment disinfection method should be there. So this rapid sand, if we are using any water treatment plant, this rapid sand filter, so pre-filtration, pre-treatment and post-treatment should be there. So coming to the next and the final stage of the water treatment, that is called disinfection. So we know there may be very harmful bacteria, microorganisms, rather than the suspended particles. This must be present there. So disinfection process is much necessary, and the last stage of the water treatment. So to remove the harmful bacteria and the microorganisms, disinfection process needed. The substance or the material which are used to disinfect are called disinfectants, and then the impurities, whatever the impurities will found like bacteria, dissolved organic salts, color, odor, taste, iron, manganese, everything can be, these all things can be removed and processed after the in the final stage, that is called disinfection. So we'll see what are the different steps or the different methods are available for disinfections. So very conventional method, and usually we follow this method, that is called boiling method. If we boil the water, we'll see that killing of bacteria is the best way to by this way, that is boiling method. So this is the most effective method of killing bacteria, but this is not practicable for the large scale. In small scale at home you can do this thing, but in large scale it is not possible to boil over a million liter of water. So most of bacteria are destroyed in this method to attain about 8 months. When you are boiling it about 80 temperature, 80 degrees centigrade, then the bacteria can be killed. So prolonged boiling is unnecessary and wasteful. So these are very conventional method. It can be advisable to do at home. And the next step or the next method is the excess lime treatment. This here we are adding lime uh, or adding lime to water to remove the dissolved salts. Like any salts will be there, like calcium in the form of calcium, magnesium in the carbonate and bicarbonate forms. So that can be removed by using the lime into it. So excess lime added to water works as a disinfecting material, and pH is about 9.5. That bacteria can be removed up to 99% in this case, and lime is to be removed by recarbonation after disinfection. So excess lime also harmful to our health. So again again this treatment require post treatment. So after adding the lime also, we have to do the recarbonation. So this is not also advisable. Next is iodine and bromine treatment. Basically, you must have seen these iodine and bromine are limited to small water supplies like swimming pools and private plants or all these things. So their doses of iodine and bromine is about to 8 ppm or 8 milligram per liter. Contact period with time is 5 minutes and available in the form of pellets. These iodine and bromine are available in the form of small pills, where we can put suppose in swimming pool, to clean the swimming pool area, these pills are added. Okay. Next is potassium permanganate treatment. That is, it is a very powerful oxidizing agent, effective to kill cholera bacteria. So if any outbreak is there, cholera outbreak or something, or water disease will be there, so this is one of the best disinfectant, that is potassium permanganate. It is restricted to disinfection of water of village ponds, village wells and ponds. This dosage is limited up to 2.1 milligram per liter, and contact period is 3 to 4 hours. And the treated water may produce dark brown coating on a vessel. So that may remove except the scratching and rubbing. So this also produce some water layer, dark brown layer over it. So only during the some outbreak will be there, cholera outbreak. So in large scale in wells and ponds, we can use this type of disinfectant. Next is UV ray treatment. So nowadays all of you have know that is in RO reverse osmosis and UV, RO and UV treatment are there in every filter at home, that is RO system with UV rays. So here what happens, so generating the rays by the mercury lights and the quartz bulb and electric current pass through it. So this is enclosed one means one chamber, and the water should pass through it and over the several bulbs and several times, and depth of water over the bulb should not exceed 10 centimeter. So likewise UV ray treatment are a very good disinfection method. Then next, coming to the ozonation. So ozonation also an very conventional method of treatment, disinfectant water. So ozone is available in the form of oxygen. Basically, the molecular formula of ozone is O3. So it forms when oxygen in the air is exposed to the discharge of a powerful electric current through air. So in nature it forms upper atmosphere when lightning passes through the air. All of you know we have the ozone layer. So it is one of the most powerful oxidizing agent. It can produce high strength of electrical field from oxygen in pure form. So if we produce the means from ozone, we generate the high energy and ozone. It is basically used for the specifically effective for the killing viruses and improvement remove of odor and taste. So this transformation almost non-degradable substance into easily degradable ones, and largely pH dependent, this ozonation process, and no residue will remain after this treatment or the disinfection process. Next one is chlorination. So this thing also all of you must know, that is adding the bleaching powder and adding the chloramines and the free chlorine gas is a very commonly used disinfection method, that is used as a disinfecting material is a chlorine. It is very easy to apply due to relatively high solubility. It's about 700 milligram per liter and readily available as a gas, liquid and powder form. So in powder form, all of you know that bleaching powder is available in market. So it's very toxic to the most of the microorganisms and kills very fastly, and it is cheap and reliable, and the chlorine can be applied in water in any other form, like in powder form, in liquid form like chloramines, or in gaseous form like free chlorine. So this is the mechanism of the action. So when the chlorine is mixed with the water at pH 7 or the neutral pH, that forms hydrochloric HCl and HOCl, which is a main disinfectant, and this is the, you can say, the bleaching powder or the chloramines. Okay, so this is the mechanism action of the chlorination. So this chlorination can be it depends on the adding of this chlorine or the doses of chlorine, that may be pre-chlorination, post-chlorination, super-chlorination, dechlorination and breakpoint chlorination. So here we can see this graph. This is the chlorine graph, chlorination breakpoint chlorination graph, or the, we can say, this point, or the amount of chlorine that is required to satisfy all the impurities in terms the chlorine demand. Means after this phase or this stage, there will be no changes in the disinfection. So this can be called, or the after attain the chlorine demand, that is called breakpoint chlorination. So this can also be thought as the amount of chlorine needed before free chlorine can be produced. Once the chlorine demand has been met, the breakpoint chlorination has occurred. So after this disinfection process completed, after this there will be no changes in the water or removing the bacteria or anything. So this is called breakpoint chlorination. This is one important graph for chlorine dose, how much dose is required before water treatment, means pre-chlorination, post-chlorination and breakpoint chlorination. And super-chlorination is if you are adding excess amount of chlorine, that is called super-chlorination. So, and residual chlorination means after adding so much excess of amount of chlorine, some residue will may remain if you are adding excess amount or beyond the doses. So that is called free chlorine residual. So this is all about the disinfection process. Today we have discussed the final stages like filtration and the disinfection process, and finally we have finished the water treatment whole unit, like water treatment process, like from screening, then sedimentation, coagulation, filtration and disinfection. So if you have any queries, and can post a message and kindly give feedback. Thank you so much.